ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Hari Om, salutations to all. So in Vivek Chudamani, we are seeing verse number 415 was the last one which we saw. The section is Give Up Perceptions. This is about the attitude of the master towards the body. So 414 we saw that the body is cast off like a corpse, meaning the identification is not there. The example given is it is like the shadow. How we don't identify with our shadow, in that way the master does not identify with this body. Then the next example given was that fling away this body far away because it is inert and filthy. Fling away meaning fling away the body identification, not physically the body. And don't think anymore of it because it is like a vomit. How it brings disgust. In that way, the master's attitude will be that this body's, the identification that one has with this body, one has dropped completely, and one has seen for oneself what the true nature of this body is. It is just made up of 5 elements. Now continuing that further, see, these are for the master, these are things which are natural. For us, this is a sadhana. Any of these examples which can help us to reduce our body identification, especially when there is so much of fear about the virus and the disease and all that. Students of Vedant must anchor in the immortal self, that our nature is pure consciousness. Where am I stuck? Whatever precautions I have to take, I take. Beyond that, what else should one do? How can one be obsessed with that and allow fear and panic to set in? So, with that attitude, for us, this will become a sadhana. So, either the attitude that it is a shadow, or the attitude that it is a vomit. So nobody goes and examines, and last time we discussed, it is a little disgusting analogy, but nobody drinks back the vomit. But what we do in satsang, we try to rise above body identification. In sadhana, we try to rise above body identification. And then when we come out of it, we again pick up the body identification. So then it is like again bringing back the vomit into the body. So that is not to be done. As much as one should be able to live in that state of non-body identification. Now, continuing that thought further in 416. Samulametat paridahya vanhau sadatmani brahmani nirvikalpe tatasvayam nitya vishuddha bodha. Sorry. Tatasvayam nitya vishuddha bodha anandatmana tishtati vidvarishtaha. Samulam etat paridahya vanhau. With its root cause, it should be burnt in fire. Which fire is this? Nirvikalpe Sadatmani Brahmani. In the Nirvikalpa Samadhi Avastha, the body identification must be burned with its root cause, Samula. Root cause is ignorance. I don't know who am I. So with that root cause, meaning ignorance, desire, action, avidya, kama, karma. These are the three knots of the heart. In the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when one transcends the body identification, through abhyas of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, one comes to establish in that supreme state, Sadatmani Brahmani, which is of the nature of pure existence and of the nature of Brahman. Establish oneself in that state, Tata Swayam Nitya Vishuddha Bodha. And one should know that my nature is Nitya, eternal, Vishuddha, purest, Bodha, knowledge, Ananda, and bliss. Tishtati vid varishtaha. This knower of Brahman remains there, identified with that supreme and having destroyed the body identification in the fire of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So it is only Nirvikalpa Samadhi that this is possible. It is not possible just by listening to knowledge of Brahman or just by reflecting on this Brahman and having a certain intellectual understanding. Those are prerequisites, no doubt. Shravanam will lead to the clarity of knowledge. Mananam will remove all the doubts. But after that is what has to be practiced is nididhyasan, contemplation. What we have seen earlier in some of the verses, the 10 verses of contemplation Vivek Chudamani gave, Jati Niti Kula Gotra Duragam, Nama Rupa Guna Dosha Varjitam, Deshakala Vishayati Vartiyad, Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani. Contemplate in the heart, in the mind that I am that pure Brahman which is free from Jati, Niti, Kula, Gotra, all kinds of divisions, psychological divisions. I am free from all of them. So that is Nididhyasan. So this Nididhyasan, steadily when we do the Nididhyasan, then Samadhi Avastha we experience. It is only in Samadhi Avastha that we can destroy body identification, which is what is binding us. It is not the body by itself that is binding us. Body remains even after the realization, till the prarabdha of that body lasts, body will remain. Body by itself doesn't bind. Body is a tool to do sadhana, and after the state of realization, body becomes a, you will see the next shloka gives what is the attitude of a realized master towards the body, having come out of that samadhi avastha. So body by itself doesn't bind. What binds is the feeling that I am this body. That feeling that I am this body, that has to go. How that will go? So it is called Viparita Bhavana. I may intellectually know that I am Brahman, but I still don't feel I am Brahman. I don't experience it because I identify with the body. So what Vedanta says, one has to steadily contemplate, and that steady contemplation will lead to this Savikalpa Samadhi and then Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So what we experience unconsciously in deep sleep, that we go beyond body, mind, intellect, but we still exist. There is a veil of ignorance. So we are not aware of the truth. There is an absence of all knowledge there. All the equipment of knowledge also are unmanifest. So we don't experience the state of self there. But in Samadhi Avastha, we consciously have transcended the attachment to the body, mind, intellect. And through steady contemplation, this absorption in this Nirvikalpa Samadhi has happened. When a person is absorbed in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, one comes to realize that my nature is this, what it was said, Ananda, Nitya, Vishuddha, Bodha. One comes to abide in that. Now it is no more intellectual knowledge. Now it has become an intuitive experience, understanding. In the fire of that Samadhi, Gurudev used to say, in the heat of meditation, in the white heat of meditation. That was his expression. So that is called Jnana Agni. That Jnana Agni will destroy all our ahankar, dehatma bhav. In the Gita, Bhagavan says, Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. This fire of knowledge, there we should remember it is this fire. Jnanagni is that intuitive understanding and experience that I am Brahman. It's not informative knowledge or intellectual knowledge. Those are prerequisites, but after that, contemplation and then absorption in samadhi. That state will destroy. Bhasmasat kurute, it will destroy. Sarva karmani, all the karmas. Meaning, whatever bundle of karmas I have accumulated over so many lifetimes, one spark of fire can burn down a huge stack of hay. It is like that. As a karta, I have done so many karmas in the past. I am experiencing the results of that in the present, and it will be the seed or the cause for many future lives also. Through this avikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi, body identification is gone, establishment in the truth is experienced, and along with that, all sanchit karmas burnt away. That's what this means. Samoolam etat paridahya vanhav. Avidya, kama, and karma. Avidya destroyed by the knowledge that one experiences in the state of samadhi, intuitive understanding. I am Brahman. Kama destroyed because all kama is to experience permanent happiness. That permanent happiness is what is this Brahman, Nitya, Vishuddha, Bodha, Ananda. Then there is no kama also. What about kama? The desire to realize the self. That also gone because self is realized now. And what about karma? So karma we have seen three karmas. Sanchit, Prarabdha and Agami karma. Sanchit karma is whatever I accumulated in so many lives. All that is burnt one shot over. Agami karma, whatever the Jivan Mukta will do now, because there is no karta, the future karma of the Jivan Mukta, it will come actually ahead after this section gets over. But now I've initiated it. So after that Jivan Mukta is realized, whatever karma the Jivan Mukta does, the law of karma says that karta and bhokta has to be the same. Whoever is the karta is the bhokta. But in Jivan Mukta's case, there is no karta, but karma is still happening. Now, who will get the result of that? So it is said that devotees get the punya karma and the critics get the papa karma. I won't say, oh, this is very unfair. It is not about the Jivan Mukta directing the karma. That my karma phala must go, good karma phala must go to the devotees, bad karma phala must go to the critics. No, it is their mind which is attracting it. Jivan Mukta is a zero. There is no ego in the Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta in fact realizes Madatma Sarva Bhutatma. My Atma is the Atma of everybody. So the Jivan Mukta doesn't have Kartritva, Bhoktritva. There is the law of karma that each one attracts what they desire. It will come to them. So the karma of a Jivan Mukta also gets destroyed. Sanchit karma destroyed in the fire of Samadhi. Prarabdha karma, the body one has to go through the Prarabdha karma. Till the body lasts, the body will go through. But the Jivan Mukta won't identify with the body that I am this. Remains detached from it. And whatever karmas will come after realization, Jnana Utpatti Anantaram, all those karmas are distributed between the devotees and the critics. So this is called Samulam Etat Paridahya Vanhav. Samadhi Avastha, you destroy with root. From the root you destroy everything. Avidya, Kama, Karma gone. And then what to do then? Sadatmani Brahmani Nirvikalpe. Remain in that state. Even if that master comes out of that state, that person will not identify anymore with the body as before. Functional identification will be there. So if you call Gurudev Swami Chinmananji, he will answer, he will talk, you will see him walking, moving, doing actions. All that one has seen. The Jivan Mukta acts, it looks like anybody else who is acting. But in their mind, they don't have this false identification at all, that I am this body or I am a Jiva. Nothing. Zero. So that is why Tata Swayam Nitya Vishuddha Bodhat. So the idea here is we must put efforts to realize the self. If intellectual conviction we have got, see, many books are not required. One may study for one's understanding and to get different perspectives. Whichever book one associates with and feels ki this book I identify with very deeply, it is close to me, close to my heart. Now from that, what is the path shown, the path of Vedanta which is shown? Just start walking on the path, that's all. If by so much of study of so many books, finally if I have got intellectual conviction now clearly that I am Brahman, my intellectual doubts are gone now. If they are not gone, then I should reflect either on the same book or through some other books. Reflect, get the intellectual conviction, and after that, it is all about how much I am able to withdraw, experience that state of samadhi, and go beyond the body identification. That's all. There is nothing more to that. And we don't do that. Sitting quietly in meditation, withdrawing, spending time in trying to inquire who am I, destroying body identification, that one doesn't do. Book after book one goes on reading or engage in some other things in the world. Now this 21 days lockdown was there. One should ask oneself how much, see, every time we keep otherwise complaining that there is no time, there is work, there is this, there is that. Now these 21 days, nothing to do, no? Sit at home. No, Swamiji, we have to work from home. Okay, work from home. But travel time reduced, interaction reduced, so many things are reduced, time is saved. No, we have to wash the clothes and wash the utensils and clean the house and mop the house. Okay, even if one has to do all that, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, one can easily spare. Half an hour, one can easily spare, sit down. If not Nididhyasan, at least do some japa, some sadhana, some prayer. If I am able to do that, that means my priorities are right. Otherwise, I am just learning Vedanta for the sake of some intellectual kick or to understand, oh, is something new, something different. Chalo, try karte. Then, okay, in the beginning, even that is good to at least come on the path of Vedanta. After that, if study of Vedanta does not make me feel that I am a seeker and I need to realize the self, then what am I doing? This is not just any other book, fiction book one is reading. This is that knowledge which will lead to the ultimate fulfillment, provided I put that effort. Maximum effort in Vedanta is required to withdraw the senses to experience the Samadhi Avastha. Nowhere else that much effort is required. Even the study and the reflection and the discussion and listening to lectures is not that much required. As much as Samadhi Avastha, which will directly lead me to that, that is required. Of course, one has to prepare oneself for it gradually. It is not going to happen suddenly. So Nishkama Karma, Upasana, Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, all that has to be done properly. Then Samadhi Avastha happens. But my point is that in the mind, it should be there ki I must experience this state of Samadhi. Because that is the only way to realize the self. No amount of study, no amount of reflection, no amount of any discussion will lead to this state. So as I said, once I must have given this example earlier. There was one great master called Sadashiva Brahmendra. very, very highly intellectual person. And when he was studying under his guru, he used to have lots of discussions, arguments. These discussions and arguments sometimes would go on for hours together. After the students finish the class, the guru has given the class, they attended the class, then they will go and discuss for a long time. One day when such discussion was happening, the guru came there and he looked at Sadashiva Brahmendra and he just told him, shut up, summa just keep quiet, shut up. And Sadashiva Brahmendra took the words of the guru to his heart. He said, my guru said, shut up means shut up, bas. Chup. Not only verbally, thought also, no thought arising. Straight went into samadhi, gone. Vivekananda was ready for it. Ramakrishna touched him, went into samadhi. First time he got the samadhi experience is when, with his leg, Ramakrishna pressed the toe of Vivekananda. He straight went into samadhi. 3 days, when he came out of samadhi, for 3 days he had no idea. He was roaming around, banging himself here and there because he was wondering, asking, where is my body? You see, that is called this Samula Metat Paridahya Vanha. These are high states which are possible, which are the direct means to realize the self. And there are great masters, there are examples of people who have experienced this. And please remember, this is not only in path of Vedanta. In every path, samadhi will be the last step. There is no other method. Vedanta samadhi is required. Bhakti Yoga also, you see Ramakrishna etc. went into Savikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Yoga Shastra also, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Samadhi is the last step. Karma Yogi also will reach that same state, Samadhi. Because the dedication is to the Lord. Whichever path one follows, initial steps may be different, but the final step will be Samadhi only. So what should one do? Try and learn to withdraw the mind. So that will come after 1 or 2 more verses, that will come. So this is the attitude of the master, that use the body to realize the self through the samadhi abhyas, and having established the self, destroy the root cause of body identification. Avidya, kama, karma, destroy. Then is it a state of zero, blank? No, it is a state of this Brahmani, Sadatmani, established in that self, which is Brahman. Now, what will happen to that person when that person comes out of the Samadhi Avastha? What will be the relationship of that person with the body? See, how that person will behave in the world, that will come later on. But right now we are talking about body identification. So what will be the state of this person as far as the body is concerned? How will that person treat this body? See that 417. Prarabdha sutra gratitam shariram prayatu va tishtatu gori vasrak na tat punah pashyati tattva veta anandatmani brahmani lina vrittihi. Prarabdha sutra gratitam shariram. This body is held together by the thread of prarabdha. So when we are born to exhaust certain karmas for which this body is given to us. And when those karmas get exhausted, the body will drop, whatever be the state of that body. Old, young, any state. The moment that karma is over, that person will go. See, if we actually anchor in philosophy and the knowledge of our scriptures, there is no room for fear at all. One I told you earlier was if we anchor in immortal self. Now, if somebody says no, no, but immortal self is very difficult to identify with. Okay, anchor in karma. What is the Siddhant of karma? Prarabdha karma is what has already been done. The result of what has been done, to experience that result, I have got this body now. Now, as long as that karma phala is there, which I have to experience, nobody can make this body die. Nothing will happen to this body. In the sense, it will not die. It may go through various ups and downs, that it will go through by prarabdha only. So whether I will get the disease or not, why to live in fear? If it has to happen, it will happen. If it doesn't have to happen, it will not happen. No, but Swamiji, we don't know now whether it will happen or not. So in that anxiety, our mind becomes scared. That's the point. When I don't know what is going to happen, instead of focusing in the uncertainty of the future, focus on the certainty of knowledge. What is Vedantic knowledge saying? Prarabdha, whatever the prarabdha karma is, that the body will have to go through. There is nobody can escape. Even a Jivan Mukta will not escape that prarabdha. The only choice is how to face that prarabdha. So prepare yourself. If it happens, deal with it. If it doesn't happen, Ram Bhajan. Ho gaya. Where is the fear? Or how much one goes on psyching the mind with that? What if this happens? What if that happens? That much. Why don't we do the other way? Why don't we think that what if I can drop my body identification? What if Bhagwan's darshan happens? What if Samadhi Abhyas happens? What if I come to establish in the self? Why don't we think in that terms? That is at least positive. It will not create anxiety. If at all what if has to be done, then imagine in a positive direction. Why imagine negative? So if it has to happen, it will happen. I must do what I have to do to take the precaution, because that knowledge has been given to me now. That what all I should do. So social distancing you should do, and then keep the hygiene factors and all that. Follow that. Then forget it. No, no, but if I get it and I die, it will be the body which dies. The prarabdha of the body is over. Even if there is no coronavirus, the body is anyway going to die. What we just saw, the bundle of dirt and filth. For a Vedantic student, though, there cannot be any fear at all. No fear. No, no, but I'm attached to my family and people. What will happen to them? Their prarabdha will take care of them. You don't worry. That is very easy to say. Very heartless you are. It's not a question of heartless. It's a question of strength. If I am strong, then people around me I can serve. If I am only weak and scared and not able to handle myself, what will I do to others? And what is the knowledge? What is the power of this knowledge then? Useless this knowledge will be if I cannot apply it and become strong and fearless. Then there are better people out there who are not having this knowledge also and going out and serving, risking their lives. So as a Vedantic student, there is no justification for any fear in the mind. Because Prarabdha will take care. What I deserve and what this body has to experience, nobody will be able to stop it, come what may. And what this body does not deserve and it does not have to experience, nobody can give me that experience, no matter how much I struggle. So then why should one be scared? So the Jivan Mukta lives with that complete detachment. Prarabdha Sutra Grathitam Shariram. This body is held together by Prarabdha. See, even food, I am telling you. 21 days lockdown, what is going to happen? Whatever food has to come, it will anyway reach you. If you remember earlier, we have done no? In the section where we said, give up the superimposition. Swadhyasapanayam kuru. In that, what was said? That this body is taken care of by Prarabdha. Prarabdham pushyati vapuhu iti nischitya nischalaha. Be very clear that body is taken care of by Prarabdha. It is already my past karma which I have done. The result of that only I have to experience right now. So there is no need to be anxious for the body. Where will the food come from? It will come. So many laborers who were walking on the highway and wanting to go to their village, etc. From where are they getting food? There are NGOs, there are government organizations, there are so many others who are going, helping, relief camps have been set up. Prarabdha will make that food reach that person. So we don't have to worry about that. Idea is not to become lazy, lethargic, but the idea is to be firm and fearless. So the realized master says Prarabdha will take care of this body because this body is no more me. Anyway, that person has destroyed the body identification in Samadhi. Then why is the body still there? It is a Prarabdha, it is there. What is the attitude of this person towards the body? Prayatuva tishtatu gorivasra. It is like a garland on the neck of a cow. Now, what difference it makes to the cow? People who are looking at the cow, they may feel, oh, oh, wow, wow, what a decoration. And this garland shows such a, it adds beauty to the cow and it is like a great sign of respect or love. For the cow, it makes no difference. If the garland is there, very good. If the garland falls, the cow may trample upon it also and go, or may even eat up the garland. It makes no difference to the cow. Same way for the Jivan Mukta, Prayatuva Tishtatu, if the body drops or it remains, no difference. Natat Punha Pashyati Tattvaveta. This person does not anymore identify with this body as I. What is the attitude of the cow towards the garland? The cow doesn't think garland is me. There's complete indifference. See, this is the state of realization. To a certain extent, the body identification goes away even before that. Vivek, Vairagya, etc. will already reduce body identification. Then Samadhi Abhyas will destroy the root cause of it completely, so that no more again one falls back. That's the assurance here. And no more that person again identifies with that Brahman. Natat punha pashyati tattvaveta. He will not again go back and think that I am this body, I am Mr. So and so. Functionally, yes, he will know I am Mr. So and so. But identity is not limited to that. Identity is I am Brahman. And so he says, Anandatmani Brahmani Leena Vrittihi. Because the vritti, the thought, has got absorbed in that Supreme Brahman. Anandatmani Leena Vrittihi. The body is a means for the mind to experience certain things. Why does the mind want to experience certain things? Because it has certain desire pressure. To fulfill the desires, it needs the body to go and experience certain pleasures. Now that the desire also is gone, the cause of the desire, which is ignorance, that is also gone. So there is no more any false notion that I am this body or the body is important to me because I need it to realize, I need it to experience the world, the pleasures in this world. Nothing. Leena vritti, the mind is absorbed in Brahman. See, even when they come out of that state, they have never, they have not come out of the knowledge. The mind may come down to body identification, but their knowledge has been, not the knowledge is clear as it is. It never gets eclipsed anymore. Why? Because the ignorance, the veil of ignorance has been burnt completely, it is gone. So even when they transact with the body, one sees them acting, one sees them doing things, one may even see them getting angry or upset or sad or happy. They know that this is all false. Like the actor knows that this is all false, nothing is real in this. I am the actor. That knowledge of the actor is all the time there within the actor. And I am that actor, I am not this role at all. So it is falsified. So it is a state of absorption which continues, the knowledge remains, as well as the state of externalization. The mind has come down to body level and some prarabdha karma it has to go through, it will go through. But deep within, one knows intuitively, I am pure consciousness. So that is the attitude towards this body. Whether the garland is there or not there, no difference to the cow. So even if the body drops, no difference to the Mahatma. You see, when Gurudev saw some of these things in the Himalayas, when he went on a Chardham Yatra, he met some of the Mahatmas who actually live in this state where the body identification doesn't exist only for them. Of course, he saw Tapan Maharaj and Shivananji Maharaj and how they have lived their life. That had a profound effect on him because you see, even what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had the effect on Vivekananda ji. Now, both Vivekananda and Gurudev are very strong intellectuals. They won't accept something just like that. What moved them was not the words of the teachers. What moved them was the bhav of the teachers, that how they are living this knowledge established in that state, and body consciousness is not there. And even if it is death, they are not having any fear. It is just one more change that the body goes through. They are absorbed in the immortal state. He saw some of these things. And that is what transformed him. That this is the power of the knowledge of Vedanta, that one can live a completely fearless and absolutely blissful life, no matter what the external circumstances are. Then what else should be done in life? One should seek this. So that transformed him. So this is the attitude. How Tapan Maharaj, he went to Kailash 2 times barefoot with one, just one cloth. No woolens, no thermals, nothing. Just went. No proper food, no idea on the way who will give bhiksha, not give bhiksha. And sometimes the stretch is very, very long. One has to walk. There are no villages. There is nothing around there. Who will give food? In a weak condition also, he managed to reach there. No body identification. Whether it is Janak Maharaj who is in the kingdom, or is a Tapan Maharaj who lives in solitude, wandering in the mountains, experiencing the bliss of Brahman all around. External condition of both of them appears very different, but internal condition of both of them is the same. Their identification with the body is zero. So that's why this example, Gurudev used to love this example. I will see if that video I can get, then I will put it on the drive, the video on this shloka. Very nicely he will explain this, that how the cow has absolutely no concern at all, zero concern. One may say, but no, how can we live like that? Okay, we may not be able to live like that. We can at least live in the attitude that the body is only a tool to do sadhana, nothing more than that. Whatever helps me to cultivate purity of mind, single pointedness of mind, I should do that. Rest of it, drop it. Anything that strengthens the body identification, drop it. That is mumukshutvam. That is the intense seeking of the seeker. Now going ahead. अखण्डानन्दमात्मानं विज्ञाय स्वस्वरूपतः किमिच्छन् कस्य वा हेतोः देहं पुष्णाति तत्त्ववित्. Akhandanandam Atmanam Vijnaya, having known that supreme state of undivided bliss as one's own self, Swaswarupataha. Kimichan, for what motive, Kasyava hetoho, for what reason, Deham Pushnati Tattvavit. Why should this person identify with the body and nurture this body identification? Not required. There is nothing to be done with it. Over now. If one has reached the destination, will one still be sitting in the train? A station has come, final destination has come, now get down. Will one still hold on to the seat where one is sitting? No, one will just get up and go down. Ho gaya. Why? Destination is reached. Now means are not required. Drop the means. Body was a means to do sadhana. Now with that body, one has realized the truth. All the efforts we do is to realize bliss, and we want to be happy at all times. Now this person has experienced that happiness as one's own self. No more that person will ever fall into the delusion that I am not blissful, I am miserable, I am samsari, I am limited. None of that thoughts will come into their mind. Then for what should they nurture this body? Because there's nothing more to be achieved. This kimichan kasya, it is actually indicating one beautiful mantra from the Mundakopanishad. Atmanam ched vijaniyat ayam asmi iti purushaha kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvare. Atmanam ched vijaniyat. If it is the self, then use the body to realize I am asmi iti purusha, that I am the supreme purusha, I am not the body. Kimichan kasya kamaya. And having realized that, then for what pleasure and for what purpose will one again identify with the body? There is no need. That person has realized. So body must be utilized as a tool to do sadhana. Keep the body fit, keep the mind healthy, so that I can turn within, realize the self. Having realized the self, job is done. Just imagine lives after lives one has taken. Every life one is seeking happiness only in the world outside. 84 lakh species one has gone through. How many more bodies one will take? And finally, anyway, the bliss is not out there. How much will I take time? How much time will I take to understand that fact that array, it is not out there? No, abhi still time hai. There's a lot of things I still want to experience. Very good. One can experience, there's no problem. Go on experiencing. But while experiencing it, one should have the ability to observe clearly ki what is it doing to me? What I really seek, what I am getting, there is no match only. Then why am I doing? Slowly the mind should turn within. Properly, with right knowledge, satsang, sadhana, turn the mind within. That's the purpose of this body. Our body is otherwise useless. If I am not going to use this body to cultivate vairagya or to develop devotion or to strive for knowledge or to serve people, if none of these four I am going to do, the body is just useless. Human body I have wasted, birth I have wasted. So serve the people as though I am serving Bhagwan, or seek Brahman through Nididhyasan, or develop devotion toward the Supreme Lord, or develop intense Vairagya. Observe while one is going through what all things one is going through. Observe how much did I invest, what did I get, how much pain it has caused, how much dependency it has caused. All that if I observe and feel that, then I have used the body well. And here is a person who has done all this, established in the self. So the question, actually that person is asking us the question, for what should I identify with the body? You give me one valid reason. Our question is reverse to that person. For what should I give up body identification? You give one valid reason. Because my body identification helps me to enjoy the pleasure in the world. So I have an objective. Now you are telling me give up body identification. Why? That is our question to the master. Master is saying, Arey, that bliss for which you are striving, I've already experienced. So you tell me why body identification is required. Because using this human body, I can realize the absolute. Then why to run behind temporary? So he says, Kimichan, what desire will be there? Avidya is gone, desire also is gone, karma is burnt away. So there is nothing, no reason, no cause left to say that I am this body. Complete cure. The samsara bhava roga which is there, no, is cured, fully cured. The only cure for bhava roga is atmagyan. There is no other cure for Bhavarog. Otherwise, the thirst to become something or the other will keep coming. No matter what one becomes. One may become more prosperous, more powerful, more, lot of enjoyment one has experienced. Whatever one wanted, one became. Now what? Still one will need something to become. Because the Jiva Bhav Alpatvam will remain. That will go with this realization. So this master is as though asking a rhetorical question. For what should I identify? You please tell me. If we take the shadow analogy, then we can understand this very well. Why should I identify with my shadow when I am the real self here? So here the master has woken up to that state. Akhandanandam Atmanam. Now, even when they act in the world, how does their realization remain? So this word Akhandanandam is also indicative that there is the Akhandakara Vritti which is there. In that state of Samadhi, when that bliss of realization is experienced, that master's ignorance is destroyed by what? By this special, by this knowledge of the self. And when that avidya is destroyed, a special vritti rises, which is called Akhandakara Vritti. Every other thought is limited by the object of the thought. So apple, book, computer, love, some person, some thought, some ideal. Each of those are limited. So thought itself is limited. Here is a special type of an intuitive thought which will remain at all times, that has destroyed the veil of ignorance. So even when that person is acting in the world, that Akhandakara Vritti remains, that I am Brahman. So it need not be in English language. It could be, as I said, it is an intuitive understanding. Again, I'm using language, so it has a lot of limitations. Understanding, intuitive, feeling, all this are about the mind, intellect. This is beyond that. When one has transcended the BMI, one has experienced the Akhandakara Vritti, then the Akhandakara Vritti remains throughout in the mind. See, today I have a thought of apple. Just now, if I think apple, then I think of water. Now the apple thought is replaced by water thought. But here, Akhandakara Vritti is not a Vritti. Any amount of other thoughts may come, this Akhandakara Vritti will remain. That's why it's Akhandakara. Unbroken, blissful nature of one's. That is a true state. So, because one is established in that Akhandakara Vritti, even when one comes down to body level, one is transacting in the world, the absorption remains as it is. So the bliss of that person never gets, it doesn't fluctuate. The person is established in that absolute bliss, one never forgets I am that Brahman, and one will never, we may see them fluctuating outside, that is our perception, because we are not able to understand their experience beyond that state. Beyond the mind, what do they experience? They are established in that Atma, pure consciousness. So their attitude towards the body will be this, that it is, for what reason do I, now my job is over, everything is complete, fulfilled. Now why should I identify with the body? Now this is their attitude. Now this same thought is continued in the next one. Now the next section which is there is the qualities of this realized person. The title may be here at the benefits of the science of reality, but it is actually the qualities. And what is the state of this person? And how can you and I reach that state? So it will tell us both. So 4:19. Samsiddhasya phalam tvet. Samsiddhasya phalam tvetat jivan muktasya yoginah. Bahiranta sadananda rasaswadanam atmani. Samsiddhasya phalam tu etad Jivan Muktasya Yoginaha. This Jivan Mukta, who is a yogi, who is Samsiddha, who has reached the goal, Bahihi Antaha, outside also and inside also, Sada Ananda Rasa Aswadanam Atmani, always in the state of bliss. What we just spoke. When the person is in the state of withdrawal, the person has absorbed the mind, reveling in bliss. Then Akhandakara Vritti rises. Then when one person comes out of it, is acting in the world, but still the bliss remains the same. That's the most puzzling thing. For us, we come down to body identification and we fluctuate with the BMI. In contemplation, we may have withdrawn the attention from BMI for a few moments. Again, we come back to the BMI identification. Again, we go up and down with it. Here, this person, even though one comes to the BMI level at a functional level, psychologically, spiritually, there is no, I should not say psychologically, spiritually, there is no fluctuation at all. That bliss remains undisturbed. That's why it says Bahihi Antaha Sada Ananda Rasa Aswadanam. They keep continuously experiencing blissful state. Why? Because they are absorbed in that state where there is no duality. There is no experiencer, experienced, experiencing. Subject, object, experience all gone. No, but in the world they are experiencing subject, object, and the relationship. That is for you and I to perceive. And even what is going, they are going through, it is the BMI going through, that is the prarabdha of that body and that jiva. This person has woken up saying, I am not this jiva at all. Again, like the actor analogy, I am not the role, I am the actor. That will remain all the time. So they revel in bliss full time. At the same time, we see them working. So this is their state. See, these things are to make us understand that this state is worth striving for, and this is what we actually seek. In simpler words, we say, and they lived happily after. What is that? And they lived happily ever after. We want all the stories to end like that. We want to live happily ever after. But that happily ever after is not possible in samsara. The real line there should be, and they lived happily now and then. Or absolutely factual if we want to put, and they lived miserably ever after. Gurudev used to say the main course in the world is dukkha only. Now and then sukha comes to us like chutney. The main meal is dukkha. No, Swamiji, it is sukha, but you are saying it is dukkha. Oh. Another example Gurudev used to give was very powerful. He would say it is for the pig, the dirt is very good. It likes it. It likes to remain in that dirt. Our mind revels in the dirt of this world, sense pleasures of this world, what all has been told to us, what all conditioning has been fit and put here, we are happily victims of that. So, and they lived happily ever after. Where? Everywhere there is dukkha only. Sarvam dukkham dukkham. Buddha, when he said that, he didn't say out of pessimism. It is a fact. If I want to open my eyes and see, I will see clearly there is dukkha everywhere. Temporary pleasure here and there, sometimes it comes. But otherwise it is dukkha. Very fact that it is temporary itself means dukkha. Sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, sarvam dukkham dukkham. That's the whole line of Buddha. He experienced it very clearly that everything that is changing is the source of sorrow only. If I identify with the change, it will be sorrow. Identify with the changeless, it is a state of bliss. So it has been fed into our head. This is pleasure, this is happiness, this is like this, that is like that. Actually, what it is, how many people actually try to experience it as it is? Majority, we get carried away by what has been portrayed and what has been taught to us. And we accept it and then we live our life accordingly. Somebody who understands analyzes on one's own, we'll come to know, okay, what is this? This is, I think, we come under the pressure of the majority or the peer pressure. So we accept. Otherwise, if one uses one's own intelligence, one will clearly know this is dukkha only. Like the body, you see, everybody knows that body is made up of 5 elements. It is a bundle of sapta dhatus, and it is covered nicely with the skin. But how much one goes on pampering the body? Why? Because that's the condition. That's how one has been brought up. And one thinks that body is me and my identity is with this body. And further, not only with this body, what this body can acquire and possess, from there comes identity. What type of clothes I wear? How can a cloth make me more worthy than what I already am? But no, if I wear this type of clothes, I feel so great. I feel so happy. And people will think of me in a very different way. Oh, this type of cloth is wearing, that type of goggles, this type of ring, that type of necklace. Bundle of dirt and filth being covered with all that is a fact. But no, the mind will be conditioned with all these things. So the mind goes on thinking like this. The realized master says, all this is false. This is not true. See, somebody who has experienced the joy of the real moonlight, let us say, Purnima, one goes out of the city and one sees the sky, one sees such a beautiful moon, lovely, it is shining so nicely, no pollution, nothing. Right now, we don't need to go out of the city. We can just go to the terrace and see pollution is down, one can see so nicely. Now, the person who has experienced the real joy of that moonlight, will that person ever be satisfied by a painting of that moonlight? It is not possible. How will I experience that joy anymore? Will that anymore satisfy me? It will not. When the real self has been experienced, there will not be any interest in the world. Because inside, outside, that person is reveling in that bliss only. No, no, but we see them enjoying some things. They enjoy that also as a bliss of Atma only. Suppose you see Gurudev eating some nice food and enjoying. There's a difference between his enjoyment and our enjoyment. His enjoyment is, this is number one, this is illusory, this is not real. Number two, even the illusory bliss which is coming in, this is actually the bliss of my own self. It is not coming from the object. Our experience is ulta. For us, that bliss is, that temporary pleasure is real. And that temporary pleasure is belonging to the object. So our craving for that object increases. This realized master has no brooding before, no craving afterwards. Our situation is ulta. Brooding will be before and craving will be after. And while enjoying also, there will be a certain amount of dependency that I will develop. So inside and outside, their experience is same Brahmananda. Actually, all Anand comes from Brahman. Vishayananda is nothing. There is zero. Vishaya has no Anand by itself. If at all some Anand is experienced, it is only because of the reflected bliss in that object. So if we say chocolate Anand, what is chocolate Anand? If the mind is not empowered by this consciousness and the senses are not empowered by the consciousness, there will be no capability to even feel that. The tongue will not be able to feel the taste of the chocolate and the mind will not be able to associate happiness with it. The intellect which thinks that chocolate is equal to happiness, that intellect will also not function. And even when I experience it, it is actually the bliss of that pure consciousness reflecting in my heart, reflecting as existence in that chocolate, which is what I'm experiencing. So one who understands this fact very clearly will try to strive to realize that Atma and not run behind this world because it is anyway illusory, unreal. Seek the real joy. Spirituality is about that. And so many people think spirituality is miserable. It makes you go away from sense enjoyment. You have to live in so much of discipline. It is because I have trained myself in a wrong way. If I am going in a wrong direction, then I will have to slow down and take a U-turn to go towards the right direction. So when I live in self-control, discipline, etc., then my mind will slow down and slowly I will turn within. Then the real bliss is experienced. Now, what is more important? If one understands very clearly, why run behind something which is illusory when I can seek the real, especially in human life? Enjoy the real, revel in the real. That's all has to be done. So spirituality helps us to come to that real bliss. And one thinks the opposite, that it is taking me away from all that I like. That is what is binding us. Whatever I like, I'm attached to, that is binding us. You drop that, come to the real bliss. Simple. So we continue tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.